All right, guys, welcome back to Turbo Time. Today, we're finally going to be taking on this On3 twin turbo install on our F-150. As you can see the F-150 behind me here in the shop. As always, I'm going to give you guys a walkthrough, some time lapse, and pause for the more important parts for you guys that are trying to do this yourself. Any tips and tricks I learn along the way, I will share with you. If you guys enjoy this content, please give me a subscribe. Share, like, subscribe. In the meantime, let's go ahead and get into the video. I'm going to show you everything that's laid out and we'll go from there. So we have our F-150. We have our intercooler somewhat out and on the ground here. We have our manifolds. I've already heat wrapped most of the stuff that's going to be under the hood, the downpipes and the wastegate dump tubes. We have our wastegates and blow-off valve. I went ahead and coated these housings in wrinkle black. I'm very happy with how they came out. And here in the back of the truck, I have pretty much everything needed for the kit. We also went ahead and coated all of the charge pipes in wrinkle black. But basically, they send you your bag of T-bolt clamps and V-bands, all your header hardware and such. They call this the oil bag that has all your oil fittings. I'm not 100% sure if I'm going to use these. I might go ahead and make AN lines, and of course they provide all the couplers. So first things first, we got to go ahead and drain all the Freon. So we're going to vacuum all the Freon out, go ahead and remove the battery. In our case, we're going to go ahead and take out the ECU as we want to reroute some of that wiring anyway. But I will be shipping this ECU to Avid Tuning today because we are going to be using their device to tune via Rob Shoemaker. We could have used the new HP Tuners update that does not require any kind of unlock, but I really like their device. It's Wi-Fi enabled, and it will let us log and flash all from the same device while displaying all our gauges and be able to be mounted up on the dash. We'll be controlling boost with the Turbo Smart E2 boost controller as well. So as we get into this video, I will show you guys how to plumb all that. I'm not going to be using the regular vacuum lines that come with the kit. We're going to go ahead and make all of our vacuum connections from quick connect fittings. Well, that sucked. Shout out to Yeti for making a hell of a cup because we slammed the hell out of it. Little battle scar there. We won't be using the regular rubber vacuum lines. I'll be using all of this DOT tubing. This is what I use on my semi trucks for a lot of our brake systems and such, so they're incredibly sturdy. All right, guys, so I normally give you guys a pretty good bit of time lapse. Today I set the camera and it just didn't work out for me. So the parts we're glossing over weren't really the fun part. We haven't gotten to any of the turbo install. We're really still in the disassembly stage. So today what we've gotten done is just remove the battery box, remove the air box and the piping for that. I went ahead and pulled our PCM ECU to go ahead and send that off to Avid. And I removed the catback and the Y pipe. I was not able to pull the Freon, which really slowed the process down. If your truck is a 23 and up, they switched about midway through the 23 year, and now all of these trucks and Ford cars and pretty much every new car is coming with R1234YF Freon, which uses different fittings for the high and low side ports, which I did not know. So we ordered our fittings. We should have them here in the morning, and then we can go ahead and vacuum out the Freon and be able to take off that line and kind of continue the process. All right, guys, on to day two. We finally sourced the correct couplers for the R1234YF coolant refrigerant. And we're gonna finally be able to go ahead and drain the Freon out, because the On3 kit does bring the AC line. Unfortunately, it does require draining the Freon and obviously putting Freon back in it. All right, guys, I will tell you the absolute most challenging part of this entire job is getting these headers out. So I wish I could tell you that there is some magic trick or a good way. There is not. You're going to use a combination of ratcheting wrenches, ratchets, extensions, swivel joints, all to get these headers out. On3 calls to remove these studs. I've already removed them on the other side. They work with e-torques. They're reverse e-torques. It's going to be an E8 to get those out. In the absence of that, I believe what will also work is a 12-point wrench. Don't know the size, but I'll put it in there for you guys. Want to say it was like a 1/4 inch or something. That will also work to get those out of there. So day 2 is down. We have everything pretty much prepped. Tomorrow we actually start the turbo install. We're going to go ahead and mock up the headers, put this in the engine bay, and see how it goes. So definitely 1/4 inch 12-point wrench will also get out those studs for you guys. So we'll check in the morning. All right, guys, so today we're finally going to be test fitting the headers, and we're finally going to see some turbos in this engine bay today. Just going to get right into it. I'm going to get the truck back up in the air, and we're going to start test fitting these manifolds. I'll kind of give you the tips and tricks of making them fit and kind of show you guys how it's going. We already got the passenger side manifold, which is supposed to be the more challenging of the two. This is the one that takes the spacer. It's fitted. We haven't torqued anything down yet. We have to still get the one bolt that's the forward lower. It's quite challenging. So as soon as we got that one in, we'll be ready to move to the driver's side, excuse me, and see about getting this manifold on. There's quite a bit more room on this side. So on the other side, I did leave these 2 middle studs in It made it a lot easier to guide the gasket in, because the other side takes two OEM gaskets because you have that spacer plate. This spacer plate takes a gasket to the head and then a gasket to the manifold. So you need to line up both gaskets and get it in there that way. But let's get back to it. Guys, so the passenger side goes on without very much incident. Just need some swivel ratchets, and the driver's side has a very challenging bolt, which is, let me see if I can't get you guys a view. It's this guy down here. Guys around. That guy right there. There is no good way to get it. I used a 1/4 inch swivel because it was smaller, and a really long extension. And you kind of come in from here, snake in behind the header there. And that's the only way to get that bolt. Other than that, the swivel pretty much gets them all. It's not too bad, but manifolds are on. I think this is really the biggest part of the job, is getting both of these manifolds on. I don't know what On3 says to torque it to, but I went to Ford spec, which is 18. You kind of start in the middle, work your way out, and then you retorque it to 24 foot-pounds. So the 1/4 inch drive is fine because you're only going to 24 foot-pounds. All right, guys, so as soon as the headers are on, I've ran into my first little fitment issue snag. If you see this thing here, this is what used to hold this little wire harness there that you're not gonna put there anymore. The V-band clamp won't go around here because there's not enough clearance here. I really should have clearanced this before putting on the headers. So you can see that they fit, they're just very tight, and you can't get the V-band on it. So I'm having to Dremel this down to create the clearance for the V-band to fit in between. Really wish I would have known that before the header was on, but now going back now. I know this mess of wiring can be kind of daunting. We're gonna have to rerun these two heater hoses. We're gonna change the direction in which they run, as well as everything that goes to our ECU and all these plugs. I'm gonna go ahead and start getting everything rerouted and kind of tucked away from where we know the sources of heat are gonna be. And I'm gonna show you how I did it. We're also gonna, I want to see if we can protect this high pressure fuel pump. Plug and pump itself is very close, so we might go ahead and put something to shield the heat there as well. But let's get into this mess. So all the loose wiring that comes from here, I'm just gonna go ahead and zip tie to the bottom of the fender liner. We're just gonna move it down. I basically just looped it back this way and pushed it down. This main ECU line, we're just going to loop against itself, run this way, and it's going to be able to come up to the ECU, and the other two lines are just going to go right there to the ECU, and all of this stuff will be able to zip back on to the factory ECU holder cover. All right, so we're also going to have to relocate these heater hoses. Since I don't know exactly where the downpipe is going to end up at, I was trying to mock them up, but I think I'm just going to wait until we have the turbo in to put those back. I'm also trying to find out if I can, if it's okay to reverse the order, because the hose that used to go to the upper would be better if it came to the bottom, because it comes from this T, and I can just run it alongside my wiring here, and it would be better if it could go to the bottom. Then that top line might be able to go ahead and cut across because it goes here. So I'm gonna see how that goes, and I'll update you guys. For right now, we got the up pipes in on both sides. I'm gonna go ahead and start test fitting and clocking the turbos where they're away from everything, and kind of going from there. All right, guys, I apologize for the fan noise. It's really hot in here. All right, another little snag I had ran into. The On3 brackets, I tried to put them to existing holes. On this side, it just wasn't possible to put it to an existing hole. I ended up having to drill, get a drill bit, make the hole, and then put a nut and bolt through. I could have tapped it, but it was just more wasted time trying to find all the right stuff. Now I kind of wish I had just drilled the hole and moved this one over a little bit. It doesn't affect anything, everything reaches. My OCD just bothers me that it's not symmetrical. But you will have to drill a hole on this side or come up with an alternate solution. I'm gonna start mocking up all the charge piping. I'm trying to get the cold side done before we go ahead and start working on the hot side, just so we know where that stuff is gonna be. That way, when all of this is still loose, where it's still movable, that way when we start working on the downpipes, we know what we're working toward. So let's keep it moving. For our intercooler piping on the passenger side, the one that has the like a JS hook that has the two welds in it, that's the one that wraps around the frame rail. And then the longer pipe is the one that comes up to the turbo. So the two longer pipes are the ones that are on your passenger side. Your driver's side gets the smaller J pipe, and this one is actually a couple of pieces. So then this pipe goes here, and the other one comes up to your turbo. right, guys, one of the things not covered too well in the instructions is these coil brackets. As you can see from factory, all these coils aim down. They send you these little brackets, and it says cylinder 1 and 3 gets the longer of the two brackets, and cylinder 2 and 4 get the shorter of the two brackets. But basically, you are going to move your coils this way because it's going to create the space for the downpipe. And basically, this little bracket just goes in between there to secure the coil and turn them all. It was a bit confusing when I looked at it and there was nothing in the instructions, but it's not too bad. All the coils go to your right. You just clock them a little bit to the right and insert the brackets, and that's how you do this side of it. All right, and this is what they look like when they're in there. You can see how I have my brackets oriented. So longer one on 1 and 3, and the last coil doesn't face forward like the rest. That one actually flips back, and that's all to create this clearance right here to get the downpipe through and keep these coils away from the heat. All right, guys, another part of this install that has very little coverage is how you actually go about tapping and drilling the oil pan. I know some guys go to that front cover, but that requires quite a bit more disassembly than this. Right here, all you got to do is there's a heat shield. It's that one on the chair over there. It's held on by 3 10mm, goes around the drive shaft. That gives you enough clearance to go ahead and get a step bit in there with a 90-degree drill attachment. It's $22 at Lowe's. I'll show it to you guys. On this side, you just disconnect your starter wire to get some clearance, and pretty much the same exercise, and then you tap it with a 3/8 NPT. All right, so in here we have everything that we used pretty much. I went ahead and started, I marked where I was going to put it. I started with this punch and just kind of punched the guide hole, and then this is the tool that's available at Lowe's. It just hooks up to a regular drill. And that lets you get in there and drill that hole. I put this tape there to stop from going too far. If you didn't go far enough, you just go a little further. If you went too far, you're in real trouble. All right, I'm gonna start by saying that the kit absolutely does fit, but I do have a couple of gripes. Nowhere in the instructions does it say that I will have to take my brake lines and yank them off this bracket in order for the downpipe to fit. There is, although tight, there is clearance for the steering shaft, no interference, turned it back and forth. That's good. I'm gonna save you guys a lot of time and frustration. As you begin to do the hot side of this kit, you can do the Y pipe on the bottom and everything, that's good. Do not put either downpipe on until you have physically put the wastegate and the dump tube on. The wastegates and dump tubes need to go before any of the downpipes on both sides. So on this side, as you can see, let me get you guys some light. It rides under the downpipe, so there is no way. So that absolutely needs to go on first, but tight, yes, plenty of clearance, nothing is touching on either side. So downpipes on first, dump tubes on first, and I brought them both in from the bottom. It was just better to feed them from the bottom and bring them up. But dump tubes on first, then you go ahead and put your downpipes. I connected the downpipes to that mid pipe, and then you do your final orientation of the turbos and everything. After everything is moved the way that it's moved, you can see that the charge pipes and all are gonna come to just the right spot. They're gonna end up, boom, lined up really nice with the turbos. So the intercooler fits really well. So that's gonna come right there for that coupler. The only two things left to button up is physically run our drain lines. I think I had told you guys before, but I decided not to use their hose. I'm making my own AN fittings, and I went ahead and ordered these from Motion Racework. They're the drain flanges, and they work with an O-ring instead of a paper gasket. The ones they provide just go straight to the straight to that rubber hose, and they have a paper gasket. Not a big fan, but I'm gonna get this thing up in the air, go ahead and run my oil lines. I'll show you guys what that looks like. All right, so we have oil back in the truck now. We have our coolant vacuum pump hooked up. We're gonna put the coolant back in the system, make sure we don't have air pockets. I have my gauges hooked up and have the AC system in vacuum to make sure that our On3 AC line is all sealed and we don't have any leaks there. That way we can recharge the AC system. I'm gonna lift the truck and show you guys how I routed things under the truck, how I routed my oil lines, what we did about the brake lines, and other odds and ends. And I'm most likely gonna end this video here after the first startup. I'm gonna let you guys are gonna get to see the truck start. And in the next video, we're gonna go ahead and put all the detail work, like running the max solenoid and the E2 boost controller, installing the injectors, swapping out the map sensor, installing our stage 2 fuel pump, and getting that all ran and wired up. So, and the tuning process as we get in with Rob Shoemaker, and he sends us our base and we'll do pulls and all that. But in this video, I mainly just wanted to cover the install and a lot of the unanswered questions that I had going into it, because there was no video out there like this one to show me, like, hey, this is where this fits, this is where that goes. So let's get into it. Obviously the car doesn't start without a battery, so let's put a battery in it. All right, so now that we have a battery, let's try that again. See the throttle body split surging a little bit. Everything is completely untuned. We're still on our factory injectors, factory everything. We're just making sure that our kit is on correctly and that we don't have any exhaust leaks or anything like that. Everything seems to have gone on there good. Overall, the kit actually fits really well. There's no modifications needed to the kit itself. There are a few modifications you're gonna have to make to the truck. This bracket, there's several ways to go about it. I've seen people just move it over a little bit and they make another little bracket. On3 says to just cut off that part and kind of just let the hard lines hold up that plastic piece. I chose to trim off the one leg this way and still support it against the firewall and just kind of bring it over some. You have to take that one little nipple that comes off of the valve cover on these Gen 4s. You got to take a Dremel to that. Other than that, there really isn't anything else on the truck itself that needs to be modified or the kit. The kit fits as intended. I will note that you have to put that dipstick in before you put on any of the downpipes. I didn't, so I ended up plugging it for now. I'm gonna order a flexible dipstick. I probably would have ordered the flexible dipstick anyway, but this is the way I chose to run my feed lines. There's really no wrong way. It's just whatever works for you. The battery tray they send you fits fine. I don't like too much that it droops in the back. I'm gonna put like a little rubber grommet stopper to kind of level that, but that's just nitpicking. Everything is close, but nothing is touching. Everything fits as intended, and overall, I'm really satisfied with the kit. All right, moving to the underside. One of the first things I went ahead and put on was this cross pipe. I just went ahead and put it on this hanger that it goes on. After you get your dump tubes in, along with your wastegates and all that, and you start to run your downpipes, I then went ahead and connected this downpipe up here to this cross section. After that, I went ahead and brought in kind of this rear piece that joins everything with this flex pipe. I joined this to that, and I brought in then my other downpipe, lined all of this up. Some people complain about the On3 V-bands. The trick to the V-bands is you need to make sure that they're properly lined up before you tighten them down. Some V-bands have like very pronounced lips that kind of make them click together. These don't. These have to be lined up properly for them to seal properly, but they absolutely do seal, and I have no complaints. Oil lines, I chose to go the AN route. You can see what I had to do with my dipstick because I didn't follow the steps. It's supposed to go through that top runner, but with all the other stuff in the way, it wasn't happening. Like I said, I'm gonna order a flexible dipstick and put it elsewhere. But you can see the oil line just runs forward, kind of goes right over the diff. This side, I did it a little different, and I don't know that I'd recommend you follow my lead on this one. I might redo the passenger side oil return and use a 90 and face it forward. They send you 90s in their kit. I went this way, and I might end up revisiting that. We'll see how it goes. The only part of the kit, they send you a ball adapter to hook up to your factory exhaust. I chose to use their V-band to hook up to an aftermarket exhaust and just have it welded to my resonator. I had a buddy come over and just go ahead and take that up. That's really the only modification I made, but that's not necessary. You can use the stuff that's in the kit. I just chose to do it this way because I felt it'd be easier to put on and take off the cap back when necessary. But overall, I have no complaints. For the oil feed, I clocked it this way, and I did it this way, but it's not the way that you have to do it. It's really personal preference, how you want to run it. I ran it this way. It was out of the way of everything. All right, guys, this is about where we're gonna end this video. Gonna give you guys a good visual. In the next video, we'll go ahead and trim up the grill, get the grill back on here. We're gonna throw on the injectors. We're gonna throw on the E2 boost controller and that JD fuel system, and start tuning. Hopefully turn it up some. Right now it's gonna be on 7 PSI, just wastegate pressure, but overall, very satisfied. If you like the content, share, like, subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next one.